I hope you're having a fabulous day. My name is Reggie, and today I'll be finally sharing with you my June wrap-up. I read, I think, 6 books in June, so it wasn't my greatest reading month, but not bad at all. I know this video is pretty late. I was doing biannual bibliothon videos, and I just didn't get a chance to put this up first, but I'm putting it up now. Better late than never, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into the books I read in June. The first book I read in June was Hamilton, The Revolution by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jeremy McCarter. Jeremy McCarter wrote most of the book. Lin just wrote the annotations to the songs. Obviously, I'm pretty biased, but I thought this was absolutely amazing. It was a great behind-the-scenes look at the show, as well as a really great treat for those of you who haven't seen the show to see beautiful, honestly awe-inspiring photos of the production, and really great for people who have seen it to kind of be transported back into that moment of seeing it. It was really, really, really good. I very much enjoyed it. It was stunningly put together. It was beautifully written and beautifully executed. It was a high quality book. I don't have a physical copy. I did get this from the library. I found it nice that I was able to catch a couple of the nuances of the show, or little tidbits that I hadn't caught before. If you're a fan, you'll want to read it, but it was good. Highly recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I listened to this on audiobook, and I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. Elizabeth Gilbert is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and while I have never read Eat, Pray, Love, I did watch the movie years ago. I don't really remember it all too much. I thought it would be very interesting to read about creativity, and while Elizabeth did write about creativity well, it just wasn't overly inspiring or new to me. There was really some great quotes from this. I also liked that Elizabeth Gilbert put an emphasis on creativity doesn't have to be your source of income. It doesn't have to be your whole life. You can have a hobby that's your creative outlet, and that can be enough. And she put a lot of emphasis on that, and I really appreciated that and found that to be comforting. I think if you're a highly creative person, this would be a good book for you, or if you're a creative person who's feeling like you are just in a dry spell of creativity, I think this would be a good book for you. For someone who doesn't really identify as being super creative, though, I don't know if this was the best book. Had some really good moments, though. I still recommend it. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I listened to this on audiobook, and it was narrated by Elizabeth Gilbert, and that was a good time. Next up, I reread The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. And if you didn't know, in the beginning of June, I think it was June 1st, I got to go to a Rick Yancey signing, and it was absolutely marvelous. I wanted to reread before I got to The Last Star, and I reread The Fifth Wave. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is very shocking. This was my second favorite book of 2014, one of my favorite books of all time, so to not give it 5 out of 5 stars was a little shocking to me. I think that it's still great. The first time I read this, I found it to be a huge part above the other books I had been reading, especially in the YA genre. I still think that's the case. What I think is so fun about this book, though, is kind of trying to figure things out and puzzle them out. And while it was really nice to go into those things knowing how they work out, a little bit of that fun was not there rereading it. I think the circles that Yancey tries to run you in as a reader are so interesting and fun, and such a great part of this book, that without that, while it's still a great book, while I still have great characters and a great world and a very interesting psychological component, the part that pushed it up and above was missing just because I already knew where things were going. However, I don't regret rereading this. Still loved it. 4.5 out of 5 stars is still a great rating, and I'm excited to reread the rest of the series. I haven't gotten there yet. I hope to reread The Infinite Sea and then read The Last Star in July. And if you don't know, The Fifth Wave is an Alien, a post-apocalyptic story following our main character, Cassie, who is trying to navigate the world. Next up, I read This Song Will Save Your Life by Leah Sales. This beautiful book was wonderful. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This book does have a decent emphasis on bullying and triggers for self-harm and suicide. So if any of those elements trigger you, I would not recommend picking it up. But if those don't trigger you, I highly recommend this book. It was absolutely wonderful. This follows our main character who feels ostracized. She has a huge background in being bullied. She doesn't fit in, and eventually she finds her way to a nightclub and to DJing, and she starts to kind of accept herself in a very different way. And also by doing this very different thing, though, she's not accepting herself. It's very good, very interesting, just kind of like a coming of age story Do really enjoy these kinds of books though. Contemporary coming of age stories are kind of my thing. This had great music. The music obviously isn't in there, but they talk about the songs she's playing a lot, and I loved a lot of the songs she was into, like The Clash. I think the writing is very simple but very well done, and I think the characters are really great in the story that Leah Sales takes us on, and our main character's journey from bullying to self-acceptance is really well done. Next up, I read Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman. I was reading this with Alyssa from Pups and Paperbacks as part of the Read-A-Rama readathon. This was the only book I read during the readathon. It was really a fun read. This book follows our main protagonist, Kate, after her father is murdered by a gang. She is living in the wild, wild west. I believe Arizona is where the story is taking place. And craziness ensues after Kate finds her dad murdered. She disguises herself as a boy and goes on a hunt towards that gang on a road of vengeance. Funny. But this is really good. I think if you liked Walk on Earth a Stranger, you will enjoy this. I think if you love this, though, I think you will really like Walk on Earth a Stranger. If you don't know, really love Walk on Earth a Stranger by Ray Carson. I ended up giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think it accomplished what Erin Bowman did, so I can't fault her for that. I think the dialogue is so well done. She writes in this very Western style, which is beautifully done. I don't know how she achieved it so flawlessly. And at first, the first few pages are kind of like you have to get into that style, but it was really easy to get into. There were a couple twists and turns that I did not see coming, but overall I don't think the story is gonna stick with me. It was really fun, and that's probably where it ends. So that's kind of why it's middle of the road for me. And the last book I finished was actually a graphic novel, and it is Saga Volume 6, written by Brian K. Vaughan, illustrated by Fiona Staples. I'm sure you guys know. Love Saga, I love Brian K. Vaughan, I love Fiona Staples. This is the newest in the trade paperbacks. I grabbed it the day it came out, and I picked this up at a comic book store. I don't know if you guys know or not, because a lot of people were asking me how I got this book early. It comes out at comic book stores on Wednesdays, and then it'll come out at like bookstores and on Amazon the next Tuesday. So you can get it almost a week early if you just go to a comic book store. I can't say much about this story in this one without spoiling it, but I really love this. This was my favorite issue of the series so far, because it follows my favorite character a little bit more, and we get a lot more progression from that end of the story. This is an epic space opera of sorts in which we have two characters who fall in love that are on different sides of a warring world. They're from different planets who are at war with each other. Obviously, no one approves of their relationship, and they end up having a baby, getting married, and going on the run. And it's quite ridiculous and amazing and wonderful. I'm a big fan. But like I said, this was my favorite issue by far. I really liked how it progressed. I liked so much about it. I can't really tell you, but if you like Saga, be excited for this one. And then I did not post a June TBR, so I did want to talk about what I'm currently reading. In June, I started Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson as part of the Mist Along. I am reading this also more closely with Clara. I haven't been reading it very much though. I am about 150 pages in. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm just reading it really slowly. I just got the audiobook, so hopefully that will allow me to read it in different settings and maybe a little faster. Also, as part of the biannual bibliothon, I was reading a couple of books that I did not finish. I finished 0 books during the biannual bibliothon, but I did get all 7 videos up. So if you haven't seen those, I'll link them in the eye. But I am currently reading The Winter's Curse by Maria Brutowski. I am maybe a third of the way in. I'm also about 3/4 of the way through Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. I really don't have much to go, and I could read it. Could have read the whole thing in one sitting, but I didn't. And then I either already have or am putting up a booktubeathon TBR soon, so that will tell you what I'll be reading after I finish these current reads. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. I'm really bad at sticking to TBRs. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I apologize for its tardiness. I hope you didn't mind. And if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below and let me know what your favorite book you read in the month was. Totally cheating, but mine was definitely Hamilton the Revolution. And if you haven't already subscribed, I will see you in my next video. Bye!